I think this is pretty good for Trey Lance. At the Bears, week 1. Didn't want him to have to be on the road, but not terrible to get that Bears game week 1. Freshman coach and, presumably warm weather in Chicago. Could be
Uberflus?
colder. Uberflus's debut.
The rumors were wrong, but not totally wrong, right? I think the rumor was Bears-Falcons, and now this is Bears-Seattle.
There was a Panthers-Falcons rumor too, but
yeah, so it was basically just people were praying, keeping their fingers crossed. It's going to be just 2 shitty teams to start the season, and that's kind of what happened. Now, here's what I would say: that Chicago, on paper, I think is going to be one of the worst teams in the league. Their offensive line is putrid, so the Niners should just be able to overwhelm them. But week 1 is kind of weird. So sometimes, as the season goes on, it feels really good getting a crappy team. Sometimes you get the week 1, like Chicago might go win 4 games and they play some of their best football the first 3 weeks. You lose a couple. When you're a bad team, you're an injury away from being really screwed. So I'm not being pessimistic or anything, but Soldier Field historically, I don't think the fans are going to mail in week 1. It's not. I look at it, and you did, and I think everyone did, really easy. In theory, the team, it's one of the worst teams on their schedule. It might turn out to be the worst team on their schedule, but it is just big-time football town. It's going to be sold out, rocking. They're going to be rooting for the Bears. Now, by week 7, they might be over them, but I think week 1 now feels that their team's just terrible. The Niners just, this is must win. Like last year, Detroit, you got to win this game. But
yeah.
Going in with Jimmy, if you told me Jimmy was the quarterback, I'd be like, they're winning. Trey, there is just this element of I don't know, Trey versus Fields, let's see what's going on. The Niners team is way better.
You're saying they're winning, the Niners are winning.
Yeah, with my eyes closed, they'd win that game. But with Trey, who knows? Jitters, first game, it's just pretty intense, it's one thing he started games. It's another thing to be the starter for the whole thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Remember when the schedule came out last year, we looked at it and said, when's Trey Lance's first start going to be? And we thought it might be the Bears game, which was week 8, the second game after the bye. And it was a big discussion because the Niners at that point last year were
at halftime of that game. Remember? It was
that's right. That's the one thing you do come in defensively with appropriate fear because you saw Justin Fields almost beat you last year, right? I'd say you need Debo back week 1, John, because you needed Debo last time to beat the Bears, right?
Good thing is Khalil Mack's no longer there. I mean, their team is not very good, guy. Their team on paper. Seattle does stink, but they do still have really good players. They still have DK Metcalf. They draft. I really like Kenneth Walker. They drafted him. They brought back Rashad Penny. They have a good running game. They still got Tyler Lockett. Jamal Adams, everyone act like he stinks for $15 million, but he still flies around and hits some people. They just, and the Niners, their culture, they're not going to look at the Niners oh, the big bad wolf. How are we going to beat these guys? So now you get them at home, but it's an easy stretch on paper, but in reality, for a young quarterback, this is part of being a young quarterback. These
no such
tests are hard. But I would say, if you're going to be a good team, you go 2-0 in these games, right?
Yeah. Did you say? I'm sorry, I don't think you just said this. But you've mentioned this before a few times. He has played Seattle before.
Well, he played half that game, right?
But I just mean he has played. Now this is a home game, which is nice, right? Should have a good home crowd for a Seattle.
There was 2 starts: Arizona, Houston, and he played the half
against Seattle. Yeah. So it's a home game.
Was that where Kerry Hyder, or is that not Kerry Hyder, but remember the returner fumbled twice?
Yes.
He muffed it, and then he fumbled it, and then the game was over.
And the Josh Norman.
And there was a Hightower fake punt where the guy went 80 yards, and there wasn't even a guy remotely close. Remember that
Josh Norman had him one-on-one, but no, was that the Josh Norman play, or was this
the Josh Norman play was a fake punt
yeah.
against somebody that was
but I think Seattle, he's played them. They are coming off a short week. Is this game emotional for Seattle? I think it's probably more emotional for the fans and for Russell Wilson than it is for the Seahawks players. But I mean, they're going to play Russell Wilson week 1. That's going to be a big deal. And then that'll be a short. So it's a short week road game for Seattle. Not the worst thing in the world. I don't know what at Denver week 3, rookie coach, but you got Russell Wilson. Who know? Jerry Jeudy. I don't know. Who knows what's up with him? But
rookie coaching staff kind of. I mean, their defensive coordinator, the dude from the Rams, UC Davis guy, never been a defensive coordinator, but their team on paper is going to be pretty good. And Denver, that place is going to be rocking.
It will be. But again, another place you'd rather be in September than in December.
Yeah. Well, I'll give this to Trey. Like Jimmy, he didn't grow up in, Santa Margarita or Malibu, right?
No.
He grew up in Minnesota and played at North Dakota State. Like he has been
indoors.
But he born and raised in Minnesota. Like that's freezing cold.
Didn't play quarter. I mean, he wasn't always playing quarterback though, was
But
he?
I'm just saying he's not. If you said Trey Lance,
No,
are you uncomfortable by the cold? Minnesota's a lot more cold than I actually like my quarterback to be from a cold, either college or grow up in the cold.
Yeah.
But I guess if we looked around, I bet there's a lot of kids from Texas.
A lot of Santa Margarita kids out there, John.
Yeah.
A lot of Orange County. Your classic Orange County quarterback.
See CJ Stroud, playing in the cold now.
That's true. So there you go. I mean, look, you could probably come up with something easier, but there's really no such thing as easy when you have an unknown at quarterback. So would you have rather played at Carolina, at Atlanta, like some people suggested weeks 1 and 2? Would you have rather played Miami or New Orleans?
This is as good as it gets.
Yeah.
This is
you take this and you don't roll the dice that it could get worse. So I'm with you. I think it's pretty good for Trey.